Sunflower CPR, how to bring your dying plants back to life, hopefully, with science. Hi class, it's Ms. Z. I'm coming to you today with a science problem that you may experience in your own house. It's some terrible news. Are you ready? This is our sunflower. I cannot claim this time that I caused the sunflower to dehydrate. I was out of the house for a couple days and I came back to it like this. So we are going to do some science projects on how to bring a sunflower back to life. Or if you're in your own house, maybe you have a plant that looks a little dead. Let's see what we can do to bring it back. All right. For the purposes of science, we're actually in a really good spot here in that I have 3 dying sunflowers. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to try one method of helping them, a second method of helping them, and then one of these sunflowers we are just going to treat as a normal plant. So that will be our control. So experiment with one, experiment with the other, control group. Control means that we won't do anything super special with this sunflower. We are just going to water it and keep it in the sun as usual. With these two, we're going to try out 2 different methods of helping them not look so sad. For the first experiment, what we're going to start by doing is cutting off the dead leaves. So these are the leaves that feel dry and brittle. They don't feel healthy like normal leaves, and they're a yellow color. So I'm just going to cut those off. And in this method, the recommendation for helping your dying plant is to move it to indirect light after you cut off the dying leaves. I put this sunflower behind another plant but still in front of the window. In the next method, I am also going to trim off the dead leaves from this plant. But this one, you give the plant some extra hydration by keeping it near a humidifier. So there'll be misty water on the plant at all times to help give it some extra hydration, because right now it's really burnt and dehydrated. I put the plant here on this chair in slightly indirect light, and right next to it is a it's actually a diffuser, but it should still let the water vapor come up and help rehydrate the plant. See, I'm putting it on. I'm going to turn it on. Which method do you think will work best? Do you think the humidifier, the indirect light, or do you think doing nothing would help best? Start making some hypotheses now. Last but not least, the control sunflower is going in direct sunlight on the windowsill. Okay, day 1. The indirect light sunflower has survived the night. However, it is looking pretty much the same as before. Still pretty sad. The humidified sunflower also still looks sad, but is still alive as far as I can tell. Our control group sunflower in direct light on the windowsill is looking a little bit worse for wear. I would also like to say that there were ants on it this morning. I don't have a video of them. Day 2 for the indirect light sunflower. It is still alive, but the leaves have now become very brittle and dried up. Day 2 for the humidified sunflower. It looks pretty bad, but compared to the other sunflowers, its leaves aren't dry and brittle yet. They've stayed pretty moist, actually, so maybe there's hope. The control is definitely dying. The leaves are very, very brittle. The top has become shrunken and small. I don't know what to do. Okay, day 3, indirect light. It is looking worse for wear, still growing for sure. You can see it's gotten taller just a little bit, but the leaves are very, very brittle and dried up. I was touching them, they felt dry. Here's day 3 for the humidified sunflower. All right, I think something hopeful is that it is less bent over now. The leaves are very dried up, drier than yesterday, but it is the least slumped over out of all of them. Day 3 for our control sunflower continues to look the worst out of all of them. Really thin stem, it hasn't grown taller, dried up leaves, and it's bent over. Day 4 for the sunflower in Indirect Light. It is now standing up completely straight. The leaves are still dried out and look like they might fall off, but it's growing. It is a little bit shorter than the humidified plant, but taller than the direct light plant. Day 4 for the humidified sunflower. It is tall and standing up straight. Some of the leaves, even though they're brittle and look like they're dying, they're also starting to stretch out and reach for the sun. Very cool. A thing we have to think about, or I guess I have to think about, is that the plants definitely need bigger pots, so I'm going to have to repot all of them, but I don't want to mess up our experiment. Direct light sunflower is not having a good time at all. It is the only one still bent over. The leaves are turning brown. It isn't happy where it lives. They're all getting the same amount of water and care, I will say. You can do it, direct light flower. All right, well, nobody got any water today because they all seem pretty overwatered. It's day 5. This is the indirect light sunflower. It has grown taller. Its leaves are very brittle and look like they'll fall off, but it's growing up. It's growing higher. Day 5 humidified sunflower is a champion. It is just the tallest out of all of them. Its leaves are dried up and brittle, but they're reaching out as if they weren't. It believes in itself, scientifically. And our control group, who is in direct light, is the same size it's been for the past 5 days. No ants on it, but it's not doing good. It will probably die. Alright, this is a while later update. It has been 21 days since trying to start this saving the sunflowers experiment. What you can see here is that the sunflowers have all grown and none of them have died. However, none of them have flowers. So the sunflower that was being humidified and in indirect light grew the tallest. The sunflower in indirect light, not being humidified, it grew the next tallest. And then last but not least, our control group that we did nothing to, it did not grow during this time, but it also did not die. In conclusion, I guess humidifying seems to help the best. However, a better plan would be to not let your sunflowers die in the first place.